Welcome to Hockey Night in New York, where Islanders hockey is always top shelf. Whether you got your start as a Dynasty veteran, a Millbury survivor, or you were born into the Church of Trotz, Hockey Night in New York is your home for all things Isles. Now, here are your eclectic hosts, Sean Cuthbert and Christian Arnold.
Ladies and gentlemen, it is Hockey Night in New York. Welcome to the program, everyone. It is Sunday, August 7, 2022. Coming at you live from Florida Media in Rockville Centre. Got a little surprise show coming up for you, ladies and gentlemen. Going to talk a little Nazem Kadri, see if that's actually happening. The Lou Cone of Silence is officially on. My name is Sean Cuthbert. With me, as always, is Christian Arnold and Andrew Gross from Newsday will be joining us. Christian, how are you?
I'm good, Shawnee. I was just that was a very abrupt ending to the intro music right there. Just boom, out of nowhere is gone.
Buddy, listen, we're trying new formats here. We're working out kinks.
Yeah.
We got
I heard it.
We got Ed behind the glass here. We got Jay. We got Mikey on the couch.
We have a staff.
We have a staff. There's things happening here.
We don't pay them, but we have a staff.
If you happen to get notified on Twitch, we didn't advertise the show, but if you're hanging out with us, we appreciate it. But yeah, a little sneaky show here to work out some kinks before we fire things up in September.
Yeah, plenty to talk about too, especially with the Nazem Kadri news and you know, that's really about it. But still, we can pretend like there's more to talk about.
Yeah, we'll make some stuff up.
The subsequent moves that have to be made to fit Nazem Kadri under the Islanders' cap situation.
We have topics to talk about, but folks, before we get into that, I want to remind you all we're proud to be sponsored by RJ Daniels American Bar and Grill, located at 279A Sunrise Highway in Rockville Centre, as well as Blue Line Deli and Bagels, located at 719 West Jericho Turnpike in Huntington, 217 Carlton Avenue in East Islip, and of course, UBS Arena. Also happy to be sponsored by Tide Technology, a voice-over IP company providing phone services for businesses across the country. And of course, Oyster Bay Brewing Company, creator of the Barn Rocker Session Ale, and available at 12 locations at UBS Arena.
Where?
USB? You have a USB port? You have a USB port for me?
If it's a Mac computer, we do not. You have to get an adapter.
They're from the future. They're ahead of the curve. Right, USB-C maybe?
Yeah, USB. Yeah, that's right. -C, exactly.
Right. The little tiny port.
Yeah.
Technology, man. Fantastic.
Fantastic.
So let's dive into the show here, Christian. So we talked about him at the top. Nazem Kadri. Is he going to be an Islander or not?
Yeah, I mean, I think that's kind of the question that's on everybody's mind because, you know, right now the Islanders are one of the few teams that have yet to make a move and really do anything this offseason, and everyone's wondering what the heck is going on. I mean, this is probably one of the most crucial Islanders offseasons they've had in quite some time, probably even more crucial, really, when you think about it now, with obviously hindsight being 2020, but with the fact, you know, even more crucial than the John Tavares offseason a couple of years ago when you think about it, because the expectations were low then. The expectations are quite high, and realistically, the Islanders' championship window is getting smaller, and so they have to make a splash and they have to do something. And Nazem Kadri certainly would be a splash and certainly would be a big boost for the Islanders roster. But at the same time, it's going to come at a cost of they're going to have to move some pieces. They're going to have to move some money around.
Right. And I guess the question is it the right splash? Is this going to be enough? We talked about some of this with Chris Botta the last time we had the show going on. And we were wondering, you know, the hypothetical, if not a guy like Nazem Kadri comes, everybody knows he's a natural center. And the Islanders already have a plethora of centers.
They do.
So is it going to work bringing him in? Is he going to be enough to help boost this team, get them back into that Stanley Cup contention?
Well, it'll be interesting because, I mean, it's kind of a toss-up, too, when you think about it. Is Nazem Kadri even the right fit for the position, right? I mean, the Islanders have a very high amount of centers that they already have in place, and you're going to kind of put them in an awkward position where somebody has to move off to the wing, and who is that somebody? And then you also have to clear cap space, so you're looking at, you know, Anthony Beauvillier possibly being moved, Josh Bailey possibly being moved, you know, Jean-Gabriel Pageau possibly being moved to clear some cap space. So not only are you having to kind of maybe move a guy and put him in a position that he's not used to, but you also have a guy that you know, is going to come in and have to take a spot, and you're going to have to lose some guys to make the money work. Because, I mean, the Islanders, as much as they work to get rid of their sort of cap crunch that they've had the last couple of years, this is still a pretty tight situation.
Yeah, it's interesting because they are going to have to, shuffle some things around, not only in the lineup, but literally they're going to have to move guys off of the team. So we'll find out what they end up doing if and when Nazem Kadri does come to the team. But I want to ask Andrew Gross about this. I want to see what he has to say. So, folks, I want to thank you all for tuning in to Hockey Night in New York at twitch.tv/HockeyNightNY and your favorite podcast providers. I'm going to take a quick break. When we come back, Andrew Gross of Newsday will join us.
Nikki, where should I go to watch the Islander game?
Dad, where should Fran go to watch the Islander game?
Just tell her to go to RJ Daniels.
Love the Isles? Go to RJ Daniels and enjoy your favorite hockey team with their big screen TVs and in-game sound. RJ Daniels also provides indoor and outdoor dining, catering, a vibrant late-night bar scene, and weekly live entertainment. Need great planials? Go to RJ Daniels. Call or visit online at rjdaniels.com.
From the Coliseum to UBS Arena, we're still rocking the barn.
We made a product based on something that we're big fans of.
You're going to rock the barn, you're going to have a barn rocker.
Oyster Bay Brewing Company's Barn Rocker, available at UBS Arena and everywhere beer is sold.
I don't want to hear it. It's over. I can't believe they fell short again.
Yeah, but they played so well. They made it to the semifinals 2 years in a row.
The semifinals aren't the cup.
God damn it, I hate those Lightning.
They'll get another shot at it next year.
I don't even want to talk about it anymore, all right? They lost, okay? Let me just sit here and enjoy the one thing that makes me a little bit happy. This fresh, delicious, tasty, meaty, turkey-filled Blue Line Combo. I eat 3 every day to help keep me strong.
Hey, Donnie, can I have one of those?
Coming right up. Talk about a blast from the Blue Line.
Blue Line Deli and Bagels. Our goal is to make you a hero.
Hope you enjoyed the ads. Now let's get back to Hockey Night in New York with Sean Cuthbert and Christian Arnold.
Welcome back to the program, ladies and gentlemen. You are watching and or listening to Hockey Night in New York at twitch.tv/HockeyNightNY. Joining us right now from Newsday is none other than Mr. Andrew Gross. Andrew, how you doing?
Hey, Sean, how are you? Kristen, how's everything going? You guys staying cool?
We're doing our best here. We're doing our best. New format of the show. Really appreciate you coming on to help us out with that. We're going to talk some Nazem Kadri, some New York Islanders. So obviously, a lot going on here with Islander country. A lot of speculation as to whether or not Nazem Kadri is coming to the Islanders. Anything new on that, or we're just going to have to wait until Lou comes out and lets us know what's going on?
Well, yeah, no, there's nothing new. Agents are kind of locked down. They're adhering to Lou's rules that no one says anything, because if you say anything, then the deal's off before Lou announces it. So it's kind of radio silence around the league with regards to the Islanders. I mean, cynically, you say, why else wouldn't Nazem Kadri be somewhere, right? Unless he had a contract stowed away in Lou's drawer. We saw it last season with both Kyle Palmieri and Zach Parise. This just seems like an encore of that. But if you look at it closer, is Nazem Kadri the right guy for the Islanders? Is he worth? There are reports that he's looking at $9 million a year or something like that. Is this the right guy to pay that kind of money to? He's a 32. He's going to be in his age 32 season. So I don't know the answer to that. I'm waiting around like the rest of Islander Nation right now, just waiting for something to happen. I've kind of moved on with my life, basically.
No, I get it. I mean, it's the dog days of August, and it's tough to really know in this strange Lou Lamoriello world that we live in. I mean, we can only assume, and I guess if you're an Islander fan, hope if you're a fan of Nazem Kadri that he's coming to the team. But I guess since that's all we have to work with, we kind of have to play fantasy hockey a little bit here, right? And speculate where he's going to be on this team, if he does, who's going to move, who's going to shift, whether you're moving a guy off the roster or whether you're moving somebody from center to wing. I mean, I'm pretty sure Kadri would be playing center in his natural position. What would your speculation be as to who might make a move, who might make a shift to accommodate him playing center?
Well, yeah, there's several ways you could go. Obviously, I've seen a lot of speculation. Would Matthew Barzal move to a wing? Would that make sense? You could also, are you going to move one of the wings? I know Islander Nation would like to see Josh Bailey traded. I don't know how realistic that is, given his contract, his production, the length of term left on his contract. I think Anthony Beauvillier might be easier to move, or if you bring in Nazem Kadri, do you move one of your other centers, like Pajot, or to bring in even more scoring help? To bring in a scoring wing, or do you Lou's been on record saying he wanted to bring in 2 defensemen this year. Do you move a guy like Pajot to get a quality defenseman to really help you out? There are a lot of things that Lou could do. I think making moves at this time of the year is a little tough, just because, like all of us, the other GMs want some time off this summer as well.
Sure.
They're all gearing up. Most of them have completed their summer work. So, Lou might be calling some people in cottages at this point, So I don't know that anything gets done right now.
Right.
So, yeah, like I said, it's weird. It really is. I wish Lou did not have this, urgent need for secrecy.
Right.
He doesn't explain it very well, what kind of competitive advantage this is giving him.
I don't think he cares.
Yeah, no, he doesn't care. But, look, every GM is secretive in their own way. But, the other teams announced summer moves and the world didn't collapse and the sky didn't fall. So, this is the one team that doesn't do it that way. So,
right.
You make your own conclusions as to whether it's, whether it works or not.
Right, and you make an interesting point in the sense that, it seems like everybody's off to vacation, off in the cottages and whatnot. And so, I mean, is there even any possibility that, you have the whole, he's got a contract tucked in the drawer sort of thing. But, there's no way he has any deals made, right? It's not like he's going to be able to get a GM to agree to keep silent on their end, just so that he can announce it later when he's ready on September 1st like he did last year. He's still going to have to, maybe he has the groundwork for a deal in, but he's going to have to actually wait until the other side is ready to make a deal and hope that it works out successfully, right?
Yeah. I mean, yeah, I agree that the lack of fire around the league is maybe even, I don't know, maybe it could go either way. Maybe it means that there really is no deal, and that Nazem Kadri is just waiting to get his number and not necessarily from the Islanders, right?
Sure.
So, yeah, and I'm sure Lou wants everyone to think that way, one way or the other. He doesn't want people to, to draw any conclusions from this.
Andrew, so, I'd almost be willing to just see what the chaos in Islander country would be if after all of this, all the speculation, all the podcasts talking about it, that at the end of the day he ends up re-signing with Colorado or somebody else.
Yeah, I know. You know what? I obsessed over this for about 2.5 weeks, and now I'm in, by the time noon comes around, it's time to have a mojito.
Nice.
Yeah.
Talking with Andrew Gross from Newsday's The Islanders beat writer. Andrew, well, first of all, I got to ask how your legs are feeling after yesterday's charity softball game. Hopefully you're feeling a little better than I am. And secondly, I wanted to touch upon something you had just said, actually, and that was about sort of the secrecy and Lou Lamoriello's, whether he cares or not, but his inability to sort of explain why he does these things that he does. And so my question to you is, Andrew, do you have, because you've covered Lou in New Jersey and now here on the island, is there any rhyme or reason or more rational explanation to why he's so secretive? Because when you look at it from afar, it almost seems somewhat silly, because everyone knows, if we're all talking about Nazem Kadri potentially signing with the Islanders and this, contract stuck in a drawer somewhere, 31 other general managers, unless they live under a rock, I'm sure have heard the same speculation and can come to the same conclusion of what's going on as well. What competitive advantage does Lou Lamoriello have by doing this?
He was asked that specific question around this time last year. Maybe it was closer to training camp. He was asked specifically what competitive advantage he gets from the fact that he didn't announce the Zach Parise or Kyle Palmieri contracts. And he did not give a satisfactory answer. He just, kind of said, he basically blew it off. So, no, he has not explained what he gets out of this. I have a hard time explaining what he gets out of this. And you know what? It's not just me. People around the league are having a hard time explaining this as well. So, I understand why it's so frustrating to the Islander fan base. And this is, I'm going to address this on my pod this week. Teaser. But,
nice.
But, how do you sell this to the fan base? The fan base, season tickets are not going great. They're having trouble selling tickets at UBS Arena. And I get it. If you're a fan, what are you buying? Who's going to be on the team? Why are you shelling out money for next season, coming off last season? And if you haven't seen this team make, really any improvements this offseason other than trading for Alexander Romanov, what's your impetus for spending your hard-earned money at this point? And, that's where I think, Lou kind of comes up short, because he owes it to the fan base to tell them, what their team is going to be like next season.
Yeah, Andrew, for sure, especially coming off a season like they had last year where, obviously the expectations were through the roof. It obviously didn't go close to where anybody hoped it would go or expected it to go. And that's after opening up a brand new arena. And you have to figure, some fans have had some second thoughts already about whether they want to stick around on a full-time season package, a half package, whatever it is. And you would think that something like this is something they would want to push out the door, right? Be in sell mode in the sense that, hey, let's sell what we're doing here. Let's tell the fans what we got going on. So it just doesn't make sense to me where they would, look, Lou's going to do business the way he wants to do business, but this is a missed opportunity here. A couple of months here during the summer where, hey, look, we got Nazem Kadri. Okay, yeah, sign me back up or sign me up for my first season ticket package. I just don't understand why they would wait so long to release that kind of news, because like you said before, look, what's the advantage? Everybody knows the general contract status of these guys. You can have another GM that can guess Noah Dobson's contract, Romanov's contract, and whatnot. They can have a general sense, right? So why even beat around the bush like this? Let the fans know. Let them decide if they want to get some tickets, and hopefully fill the building and put some money into the place.
Devil's advocate, the only thing I can think of, and again, it's probably a weak argument, is Lou doesn't want to register these contracts because he knows if he is signing Kadri, right, he has to move some salary. And maybe he doesn't want to be backed into a corner into having to make a really disadvantageous move. Yeah. Because everyone knows, how far over the cap he is. But I agree with you. GMs are not dumb. They get a sense of what's going on, and they know what position Lou's in. So, like I said, that's a devil's advocate argument. I don't think it's a very strong one. But, that's what I can come up with at this point.
No, I'm with you. And you have to look at the Pacioretty example with Vegas and Carolina, right? Everybody knew where Vegas was at. They knew they were going to have to unload somebody. I don't think anybody saw a future considerations for Max Pacioretty trade coming, but, I mean, that's just the nature of this business. You're up against the cap, and you can't really expect much return on who you're giving up. And when you already have the league, the fans speculating whether or not you sign this guy to probably a $7 to $9 million contract, whatever it is, they're going to have a relatively decent idea of where you are with your cap. So figure it out. I mean, look, here I am telling Lou Lamoriello how to do his job, but it just doesn't seem to make sense sometimes.
No, it doesn't. You know, and I would have a little more patience for it if Lou would at least acknowledge that A, he's doing it, right? And B, you know, just don't tell us your business, but give us a sense of why you're doing business this way. Because I do think the fan base, you know, if it's explained to the fan base, you know, I'm not going to announce A because it will allow me to do B, or, you know, I just think the fan base might be a little more accepting or patient. You know, I was on a show up in Canada a week ago, and they asked me, you know, what kind of feedback are you getting from the Islander fans this summer? I said that they're ticked off, they're frustrated, and I don't blame them. You know, and I really don't have a defense for it at this point.
It's fair.
Talking with Andrew Gross from Newsday, covers the Islanders, also hosts the wonderful podcast Island Ice. You can listen to that across podcast platforms, if I could ever get that word out.
We were on that show.
We were on that show, and we highly
we haven't been invited back.
We haven't been invited back. I was going to say we highly recommend you listening to it after Hockey Night in New York, of course.
Here's the thing: I've been invited you back. I just haven't executed the invitation. So.
I mean,
yeah, it's a lot of empty promises.
Mike, just hang up the phone.
Yeah. I mean, at this rate, I might as well just start advertising the other papers podcast that is out there. You know, I'm just saying. Just saying,
there's
Andrew.
There's another one.
I mean, there's plenty of papers that have podcasts, Andrew. We can advertise anyone that we want. But
look. There's no other newspaper that has an Islanders podcast.
I'll start advertising Ranger podcasts if it comes to that, Andrew.
Hold on a second.
Oh because your audience is going to be beating down the doors to listen to a Rangers podcast.
Probably not.
Yeah. You know what? He's got to invite us back onto his podcast first.
I guess we'll see.
Andrew, I was going to ask you, you were talking about patience and Islander fans having that, and of course Islander fans are known for their patience. But when it comes to the Islanders' ownership's patience with Lou Lamoriello, what kind of leash are we looking at now after what was a very underwhelming season last year? As much as people want to use the excuse, I guess, of COVID and some of the injuries and all this, what is the leash for Lou Lamoriello going into the season? Because you have to imagine, after firing one of the best coaches in hockey for what still remains to be any sort of rational explanation, I would have to imagine that this is now Lou's make or break year where something has to drop if this doesn't go right, especially with the offseason that they've had.
You know, in another scenario, I would agree with you, and I agree with what you said, that Lou put this all on himself. You know, he fired Barry Trotz, so now this offseason really, and I wrote this as soon as he fired Barry. I think I wrote a column saying that, you know, this is, you know, Lou has now made this offseason a referendum about him.
Right.
But I think that's more in the fan base's eyes than the ownership's eyes. I think, you know, publicly, ownership has been incredibly supportive of Lou Lamoriello, and they were very publicly supportive of Lou Lamoriello after Barry Trotz was fired. And I don't think that's a smokescreen. I think that's how they feel in private too. That they really, really, really trust Lou Lamoriello to guide this franchise. And, you know, Lou would never confirm this. The reports are, and the speculation is, that Lou is also going into the last year of his contract. So, you know, at the end of the day, maybe, you know, ownership does say, hey, you know, we publicly support this guy, and if it doesn't go well this season, well, we have the flexibility to go in a different direction. But I don't think that's what ownership wants to do. I really do think they want Lou to complete the job that he came here to do.
Andrew, I'm curious to get your thought, because I think over the last couple months with the offseason and sort of the lack of movement, I guess you could call it, outside of the Romanov trade that happened at the NHL draft, there has been, and especially with the dismissal of Barry Trotz, there has been sort of a conversation going on across Islanders country where the debate has been who's been more, who's deserves more of the credit, I guess you could say, for the Islanders' success over the last 4 years. And you hear kind of a split decision. Some Islander fans think it's Barry, some think it's Lou, some think it's both. I was curious to see where you kind of fall on that discussion of where does the credit lie for the Islanders' success over the last couple of years, because at least to me, and just to be upfront where my viewpoint is, a lot of that success, while Lou Lamoriello has made some interesting moves, a lot of that to me has gone to Barry Trotz. I mean, you look at the roster that Lou has given Barry Trotz the last couple of years, and I would say that Barry has done a lot with, talent that would underwhelm, I think, a lot of other coaches.
Yeah, well, but before I answer this, let me just say that, I am incredibly impressed with how Barry Trotz goes about his business and how he coaches a team and how he really does get a pulse of what his team needs. And last season, I don't think is a reflection on Barry Trotz. It would have been trying for any coach out there. And Barry Trotz is going to be in the Hall of Fame as a coach. There's no doubt about that. Having said that, to me, it starts with Lou Lamoriello. When he came to this organization, even before he got Barry Trotz here, Lou Lamoriello had already laid the groundwork for discipline, for acting and looking like a professional. And I know those sound like cliches, but the organization didn't have it before Lou Lamoriello came here. And Lou really did, in effect, teach this organization how to win even before Barry got here. Now, there is no doubt Lou and Barry were a really good partnership for 3 years, for 3 seasons. And it's really tough to say that one guy was responsible for it and the other guy really wasn't. They both played a huge part in it. But Barry doesn't happen here without Lou Lamoriello. Barry Trotz was not coming here unless there was a Lou Lamoriello running the organization. He was coming off winning a Stanley Cup. He had the pick of jobs. He was not going to come to a dysfunctional franchise. And Barry and Lou, he got hired in April, right? And Barry came in June. So it was really in those 2 months, Lou was able to turn this into a functional franchise within those 2 months. And he made it attractive for Barry Trotz to come here. So for that reason, I say it really does start with Lou Lamoriello.
Andrew, I remember in probably what was the first press conference with you guys was he was asked the question, what was it about Long Island that made you want to come? And he said, I was excited to work with Lou Lamoriello. So
absolutely. 100%.
Yeah. So I think you're hitting it right off on the head there. And I'm still actually trying to cope in a post Barry Trotz world. I haven't really fully accepted it yet. I'm trying. Thankfully,
you haven't even changed the theme song yet.
No. I'm hanging on as long as possible.
Well,
yeah.
I mean, you guys know. I mean, selfishly from a reporter standpoint, and Christian can talk for hours about this as well. Covering the Islanders through a COVID-19 pandemic without Barry Trotz would have been impossible. Honestly, it would have been. We were not in the rooms. We couldn't talk to the players. Everything was over Zoom, and the players, really, would not engage that much on Zoom. It was kind of, cliche by numbers over Zoom to questions. And
right.
Barry Trotz saved our butts for basically 2.5 years by being the person he was and by being forthright and willing to engage. And he never gave out information that he shouldn't give out, but he also didn't give one-word answers or one-sentence answers. He made covering the Islanders interesting and worthwhile. He really did. And it's going to be interesting to see how that goes without Barry there.
Lane Lambert has some very, very big shoes to fill in more ways than one.
And he's, and I think a lot of the change here is because Lane is not going to be Barry Trotz. He is not going to be, totally open and forthcoming in these press settings. He's going to be much more reserved. And I think that's the direction the organization really wanted to go with their public statements.
Well, Andrew, I got one last one for you. Let's stay in speculation nation here for a minute. And what? You like that one, Christian?
Speculation nation.
You like the rhymes?
I did. That was actually pretty good. That was pretty good.
So, with that out of the way, are the Islanders going to make, now outside of making cap space, we know that the Islanders are going to have to do that one way or another if they get Nazem Kadri. They're going to have to move somebody out. I'm not asking you who they're going to deal away, but are they going to make any moves in addition to adding Kadri? Maybe that second defenseman, maybe even another forward on a cheaper contract. There's names like Sonny Milano out there who maybe wouldn't demand such a big contract. Maybe he's a guy who wants to come home to Long Island. You think he might do anything beyond just Nazem Kadri?
I would tend to think so, because this is not a finished product. You can't run it back with essentially the same group you had last season. I know how much they believe in this core, but you can't run it back. These guys are a year older and they're a year away from, they regressed last season, and say all you want about the circumstances and maybe the factors that went into the regression, but the fact remains that they regressed last season. And you have to be proactive, and you can't assume they're going to play back to where they were the previous 2 seasons, and not only play back to that, but improve upon it with essentially the exact same group. So it's incumbent upon Lou to really make more than one move here. And I think he knows that. I think he's trying. I mean, it's not like he was not in on the big pieces this summer. He was in on Goudreau. He was in on Tkachuk. He just couldn't get those deals done. So that to me indicates that he knows what he needs to do here, and he's going to, Lou always says, when you have time, you use it. And he's got right up till October 13th to improve this roster. And I do feel like he's going to use as much time as he can.
Andrew Gross from Newsday does a wonderful job covering the Islanders. You can read all of his stuff in Newsday, the print edition, or go to newsday.com, as well as the wonderful Island Ice podcast across all podcast platforms. Of course, listen to that after you listen to Hockey Night in New York and not a minute before. Yes, Andrew, did you want to plug something else?
Well, no, before you let me go, we're not going to talk about how much of a vacuum I was at second base yesterday. We're not going to talk about that.
I mean, Andrew did play
Andrew,
a mean second place. So. He did play a mean second base. I will say that. Andrew played very well, very aggressive. He's an aggressive softball
he's
player.
A talented drummer and a talented baseball player?
Softball player.
Softball, sorry.
Well, no, how about good glove, no hit.
Okay. Fair
It
enough.
was a good effort, Andrew. I will say, before we let you go, though, I did want to get one other thought out of you, because we've been asking you some tough questions. I got to ask you about the fisherman jersey. Should it be the Islanders' full-time logo or not?
Jesus.
Full-time logo? Wait, did you seriously just ask me if it should be the
He did.
I advocate for the Islanders.
He had about 5 sips of a barn rocker, so he's pretty much
I
under
advocate
the table,
for the Islanders to change the logo to the fisherman full-time. 100%.
He also wants to move back to Barclays Center.
That's right. That's right. They should move back to Barclays Center.
No, here's the
That's
thing.
ridiculous.
I would be fine with it as the retro jersey, because
I think it's a great idea for that.
Yeah,
I'm
fully on board for that.
It's a great marketing opportunity, and I thought it. To be honest, I thought that what they threw out there as a retro jersey last season I'm sure there were people in the organization just cringing over the lost revenue from retro jersey sales.
You couldn't have played it any safer.
Yeah, no, and look, I know Lou doesn't believe in alternate jerseys. I mean, he's always made that clear that he believes in a home and an away jersey. He doesn't like the third jerseys. He doesn't like kits. He doesn't like gimmicky stuff. But look, I mean, you just got to look around the stands. That what are we? 20, 25 years later, the stigma of the fisherman jersey has subsided. You can bring it back.
Not if you ask the wrong person.
Yeah, and I think it's a great homage to Stan Fischler as well. If you really want to go down that road as well,
and obviously a great product placement opportunity with Gordon's fisherman sticks.
Yes.
Yeah. So no, I'm fine if they drag that out as a revised alternate jersey. Maybe use the logo. If they bring out those waves again, I will vomit.
Yes.
I really will.
I like the waves.
I will buy all of them.
I like the waves. And the curvy numbers. Do it all. Bring it all back.
Let's go full fisherman.
No.
Full fisherman.
But I'll tell you what, if they brought back that logo on a full-time basis,
I mean, it would probably be the best thing to happen to the franchise in a long time.
There is no way that happens in any sort of reality.
I mean,
in the multiverse, that just doesn't happen.
It's a missed opportunity.
I
think it's the greatest logo ever created.
Do you want to talk to me about coming up with a different logo or modernizing the current logo? I'll talk about that. Because I do feel, and I love the Islanders logo. There is a classic feel to it.
It's a good answer.
But there's also a very 1970s feel to it. So
for good reason.
It could, it was designed in 1972 and it hasn't been updated,
Yeah.
So.
Well, they did add a fourth stripe to the tape on the stick. Let's be fair.
Wouldn't everyone like to see a fifth and a sixth stripe at some point?
Would love that.
Yeah, but I would be open to the discussion of modernizing or coming up with something that's not the original logo or the fisherman logo. I don't want to go back to the fisherman logo. That's what I'm saying.
It's a very sensitive, touchy subject for a lot of Islander fans. And unfortunately, they've had a lot more misses than hits when it comes to that. I mean, the biggest abomination this team ever made was those black jerseys with Islanders in print. And
that
like a quarter circle with the gray and it was.
It looked like almost a weird Met version of that jersey. It was dark,
but worse.
And then
much
the letters
worse.
were the similar style as the Met jersey. That it was bad.
That is the biggest abomination. Right above the wingy ones that they made, the swimmy ones. Remember when they came back with when Reebok took over?
Oh, okay, yeah.
When they couldn't figure out where they wanted the striping to be, so they're just all right, we'll throw them on the elbows.
Yeah.
Hey, you know what? You bring up an interesting point because didn't Adidas' contract is expiring in after next season?
Yeah, after next season, the Reebok contract.
So I mean, there is an opportunity. Whoever gets the next NHL contract, there could be some updates. You saw it when with the Devils. When I think that was when Nike took over, right? They updated the jersey look. They took away the stripe on the bottom, So I could see the Islander jersey being modernized with this new contract coming up. And here's my real issue with the fisherman logo is it reminds me that I think it was my senior year at Syracuse for Halloween. I dressed up in a yellow rain jacket on Halloween, and I went to the bars dressed as Gordon Fisherman, and I had the little pail and the whole deal. And you know what? It was funny
a great
to me
picture.
it was funny to me as a concept. After a couple of beers at home, and then when I was at the bar, sweating my tuchus off in a yellow rain slicker, having to hold a pail for 4 hours. I'm like, oh my God, I'm the Gordon Fisherman. I suck. So anyway.
Andrew Gross from Newsday, tremendous job covering the Islanders. And when they bring back the Gordon Fisherman full-time as the Islanders logo, we can now say it's both an homage to Stan Fischler and to Andrew Gross in his college days when he sweated off his tuchus in a yellow.
We got tuchus twice in one show.
Yeah, happens.
Right.
Andrew, thank you so much for the time and the stories. As always, you could not have been any better than that one. I think that really might be the best story you've told so far on this show. We really appreciate the time, Andrew.
Hey, Christian, it was great seeing you yesterday. I should know Christian played really, really well as well.
2 for 3, baby.
Doubt it.
2 for 3.
Yeah. So it was fun having being on your team and being a teammate, and I think we had a lot of laughs. And it should be noted that Matthew Blittner, who organized the Memorial Cup, we raised. It was over $6,400 for Alzheimer's research. So it was a fun day, and it was a good day for fighting Alzheimer's. So a great time had by all.
Andrew, fantastic stuff as always. You're always generous with your time. Thank you so much. Really appreciate it, and we'll have you on again soon.
All right, and likewise from my end as well. I mean it, and. Well, I'll see you right at the rink in about a month, huh?
Yes, indeed.
Exactly.
Let's do it.
Gonna be a good
All
time.
right, guys.
Take care, Andrew.
Ron, Christian, be well.
Be
You
well.
too.
Andrew Gross from Newsday. Really appreciate the time as always. He's always great for a laugh and a great story as well. And I should mention as well with the softball charity softball tournament we played in yesterday. There was an award for Andrew's father as well, in memoriam of Andrew's father.
That's awesome.
And it was the first award ever, and it was given to Islanders owner John Ledecky.
Very nice. Yeah. Very cool.
It all comes full circle.
Indeed,
and
Christian.
I went 2 for 3. Just saying.
2 for 3.
2 for 3.
2 for 3.
Yeah.
Doubtful.
Not doubtful. Very true. Very true.
Were they throwing underhand?
Yeah, they were throwing underhand.
Yeah, so I mean that makes sense. Or did they give you a tea? All right, Christian's coming up. Bring the tea out.
There was a word I was going to say to you, but I bit
what's
my
that?
tongue.
What's that?
I think you can figure it out.
Okay. Well, the train rolls on here at Hockey Night in New York. Thanks so much for tuning in to twitch.tv/HockeyNightNY and your favorite podcast provider. So, Christian, this is a special bonus show here at Floored Media in Rockville Centre.
And do I think Nazem Kadri will look great in a fisherman's jersey next year? Hell yeah, I do.
I'm with you on that. I think he would.
Bring him.
I think he would.
I think he'd look good in one, 82 games a year
that?
For the next couple of years.
Okay.
Yeah.
Couple, maybe 4, 5, 6, 7.
Games. 82 games.
No, I'm saying years though.
No. Oh yeah, probably. Yeah. I mean, but that's the thing. Getting serious for a second here with Kadri, and then that's kind of what Andrew had mentioned before, was the fact of the term of the contract. And you're looking at a guy who's 32 years old. He's someone that as talented and great a season as he had last year, because you look at his stats from last season with the Colorado Avalanche, he had a tremendous season. And you can see why teams are going to line up and want to bring him into their organization, or Colorado would want to keep him at this point. But you have to look a couple of years down the line, and as we know and we've seen, I mean, there's no greater example than you look at Andrew Ladd a couple of years ago. Guy,
he's back here. He's up there, buddy. He's on the shelf. He made an appearance.
Oh, boy.
Number 16.
Sorry, Andrew. But you look at Andrew Ladd from a couple of years ago, I think that's a great example of be careful what you wish for, right? Andrew Ladd was the hot commodity on the market. I think he was coming off a great season, great second half of the season with Chicago or Winnipeg. I forget which way that rolled, but maybe it was a different team.
Winnipeg.
Was it Winnipeg?
I think at the time. Yeah.
And so then it became, all right, the next couple of years he was adequate, and then obviously his production fell off extremely. And so that's kind of the concern now with Nazem Kadri, not just the fact that you throw in the money factor. You throw in the fact that they have to move some guys around in the lineup. They have to get rid of some guys in the lineup to make this all work. But then you throw in the factor of, okay, this is a guy that's 32 years old, and I understand that this team is in win-now mode.
Right.
But at the same time, you have to imagine that they have to prepare for not just the next year or so,
right,
but the next couple of years. And it would. The concern there is obviously warranted. I think Nazem Kadri is a great player. I think I would have loved to have him, on the Islanders a couple of years ago when
yes,
certain number 91 was still here. I think that would have been a great partnership there, and I still think Nazem Kadri would be very successful in the Islanders this season and maybe the season after that. But after that, it gets a little more dicey, and it becomes a little bit more of does the contract become an albatross? Does the player become an albatross? I mean, those are the questions that now face Islanders management going through this.
That's it. I mean, the question is, how long does the fun last?
Yeah.
Right? Is it going to be 2 years, 3 years, or maybe give the guy a little more credit? Maybe he figures out a way to play longer into his 30s. We see it all the time. I mean, you already named a guy like Andrew Ladd, and he signed when he was younger.
Yeah.
And now Kadri's going on 32. So it's going to be very interesting to see what kind of length of deal Lou is able to negotiate with him. Maybe Kadri says, yeah, you're right, Lou. I am 32. I don't need a 7-year deal. Is he going to do that? I don't know. But maybe he comes back and says, okay, 4 years is okay, 5 years. And then maybe you stomach that a little more.
But we've also seen that he's a Lou guy, right?
Yeah. We've
seen that kind of bantered about, and I guess I could kind of see that for sure with him and having played in Toronto and Lou's connection there. And I'm sure if the people are saying that, I have to imagine that the people that are saying that, I should say, I'd have to imagine there's some validity to that. So does that help or hurt the cause too, right? Does him being a Lou guy go to what you're saying where, okay, I'll take maybe a shorter deal or some sort of deal that's a little more team friendly, or does that work against the Islanders where Lou says, all right, I'll give you a deal that you think is fair and I think is fair, and maybe that's not necessarily the best term for the team, so to speak, going forward. So it's an interesting dichotomy that the Islanders have going on right now, especially with everything else that's rumored to be going on with possibly moving Beauvillier or possibly moving Josh Bailey or Pajot. I mean, these are all a lot of pieces up in the air that seem to be trying to figure out this whole puzzle.
It's going to be interesting if we ever find out. We may not. They might drop the puck, and then Kadri's going to show up in his New Jersey on opening night, and that'll be that. We'll see. But
they'd have to register it with Central Registry, so I imagine that we'd find out at least the day before.
Lou might find a way.
There's not a way you can't. He
won't. I'm being facetious.
I know, but there's someone out there that's going to be like, maybe he could find a way, But I can guarantee he has to register the player with Central Registry.
Cloak and dagger, man.
Which would, there's people in the loop that know outside of the organizations.
Indeed. Well, as I was saying before, we're approaching the middle of August. Still in the dog days of summer as far as the hockey season goes. Obviously, not going to have a What's on Tap segment tonight. Not going to have a
golf.
Still golf.
Baseball.
That's what we said the last time. Yeah, no What's
on
Tap.
On tap.
What's that?
Football's on tap. NFL training.
This is
camps.
A hockey show. Who cares?
Basketball's on tap.
You're really driving it here.
Hockey is on tap.
We're
less than a month away from training camp.
Wow. You're reaching
less
here.
Less than a month.
Okay. All right. Well, we're still not going to do this segment.
Get excited, Sean. Less than a month till hockey.
That's the most energy I've ever seen you bring to this show.
And it's all gone now.
That's honestly not surprising either. It's not. So
let's get excited for hockey in a month.
Okay.
When we run it back with the same team.
So no What's on Tap, no Hero of the Week. Why don't we check in with Mikey on the couch? Mikey, how we doing over there?
Well, we should introduce who Mikey is first of all.
Well, we're getting there, brother.
Well, you just said, "Oh, Mikey, how you doing?" Like who people?
That was a lackluster introduction.
I'm sorry. I tried to get the band, but they weren't able to come.
They were knocking during your call with Andrew.
Oh, is that right?
You just didn't let them in.
My phone was blowing up. That might have been the band saying let us in. So yeah, everybody, Mikey OB joining the crew here. He's going to be the guy on the couch. He's going to be helping us out. Talking to you guys on Twitch during the live show. Today it's a bonus surprise show. We're testing things out here. We're making sure everything's working, Oh wow, we're gonna get him on camera here. There he is, ladies and gentlemen. If you're watching, Mikey OB, Mikey on the couch, and he's not actually on the couch because his headphone cord didn't reach the couch tonight.
Yeah, I got
so he's Mikey in the chair.
I drew instead of drawing the short straw, I drew the short cord today.
Yeah.
But yeah, no, I'm really excited to be here. I feel like I've kind of been the behind the scenes third part of Hockey Night in New York for a little while now.
Sorry, there's a camera. I'm trying to look at you.
Yeah, the camera is blocked. Yeah,
I want to look into your.
If I make eye contact with Christian, I'm going to be staring into the void of every viewer on the show right now.
Understandable. Understandable.
By the way, my subliminal push anyway, to get the Islanders to change their logo to the full-time fisherman. Mikey joining the cause with his hat right there, subliminally.
I do have the hat on.
Subliminally.
The chat, I will say, was real fired up about the fisherman.
I know.
Logo.
Is that right?
That's why I say it.
So we had some people tuning in, even though we didn't tell people about the show?
Yeah, we've had at our peak, I'd say we've had about 11 or 12 viewers. We're currently at 9.
Wow. For a show we didn't tell anybody about.
Yeah. The crew in the background back there.
From the crew, 9 to 11. There we go.
12 I think was our peak. A lot of them have been here the whole time.
I love love that.
Yeah, they're getting.
Nice,
they're
great.
gonna, have to get used to this new setup, new
content.
studio.
Have you been interacting on the chat with them? Are you doing your job? This is day one. Are you doing your job?
I mean, there was a lot of ranting and raving with the Jersey talk, and
I mean, anytime I bring it up, that's.
I kind of felt better to just stay removed there. I didn't want to.
But you got to dive right in.
Too
It's your
controversial.
job.
Mikey, I get it. You're on my team. I get it. I understand. You're fine.
They were also interested in having a Gorton's ad right on the jersey with the logo. So.
Buddy, I mean, I know you're joking around, but the ads are coming.
I know, yeah.
You never know.
The NBA did it.
That actually might be the way to sneak in the logo full time, where you just have the Gordon logo on the corner of the jersey.
Absolutely. Get some ad revenue.
If Gordon's Fisherman, is Gordon's Fisherman still a thing? Like,
yeah, buddy.
Company?
Buddy, go to the frozen food section.
I clearly have
plenty of choices. Some tilapia.
But I was going to say, that would be a great, like, if they ever wanted to actually partner with the Islanders on something, talk about a partnership made in heaven.
Yeah. I mean, we would have Islander fans literally jumping off cliffs if that happened. But, yeah.
Well, some.
I mean, if they just did the ad, you'd be able to have the regular main logo with the Fisherman logo. Everyone's happy.
No one's happy with that.
I don't know.
Yo, dog, I heard you like logos. We put a logo on your logo and made you a new logo.
Yeah, absolutely. But I'm stoked. I'm stoked you guys asked me to be a part of this. I mean,
man.
A little less behind the scenes, kind of still behind the scenes, but
can't wait to actually get you on the couch.
Yeah, this chair is not comfortable. I will tell you, and I've been here.
You've been squirming.
I've been here the whole show. My legs are numb, but.
They do look a bit pale.
That's just normal, though. That's my natural skin tone.
Okay.
But yeah, no, stoked about this. I'm very excited. So
awesome.
Thanks.
So I'm just going to request that now we take the camera off of you.
I would prefer that also.
Yeah. Because especially now that you're going to be sitting in silence.
Yeah.
But Mike, but ladies and gentlemen,
that was the end of my talking quota there. Yeah.
Mikey OB on the couch, on the chair tonight. But there
will eventually
be
on a couch.
Yes.
Yeah, there's
we got a new team. We got Eddie behind the glass over there. We'll have a mic for him one day. He's doing a great job over there. So yeah, brand new setup here. Obviously here at Floored Media.
I went to look at Eddie and I looked right into the bright light that was in front of my face.
You're just gonna have to get used to them. It's showbiz, bro.
Showbiz.
But yeah, loving the new digs here at Floored Media in Rockville Center. Fantastic stuff. Run by our pal here, Jay, doing an outstanding job. Check it out, flooredmedia.com. Fantastic stuff. So, folks, since we're not going to do those extra bonus segments, I think we're just going to do one more break, and then we'll have a couple final thoughts, and we'll wrap this thing up.
Oh, am I supposed to? Yeah, sure. Okay.
Yeah, you're supposed to agree with me.
I didn't.
That's a great idea, Sean.
Sean, that's an adequate idea, and I guess we'll do it.
So, folks, once again, I want to thank you all for tuning into twitch.tv/HockeyNightNY and your favorite podcast providers. We're going to take one more break. When we come back, we're going to wrap this thing up.
Customer service is the backbone of any great business, and reliable telecommunication is essential to keeping your client base happy. Introducing Thai Technology, a low-cost, flexible internet phone service founded on the idea that every customer deserves exceptional service while providing simple setup and management and easy integration to clients across the country. Thai Technology will not only create a custom solution tailored to your specific needs, but will partner with you to provide a competitive edge to you and your clients. And if you need support, you won't be routed to an automated call center in another country. You'll get a live representative that had a personal hand in building your account. So Islander fans, if your business is looking for a change from companies like Spectrum, Verizon, or Optimum, Thai Technology is offering 3 free months of service for any of its affordable packages. Just call 516-856-7800. That's 516-856-7800. Or visit them on the web at thaitechnology.com. That's Thai, T-I-E Technology.com. Thai Technology, the right choice for your internet.
Did you have a nice break? Well, it's time to get back on the couch for more Islanders therapy with Shawnee and C. Arnold on Hockey Night in New York.
And welcome back to Hockey Night in New York. Christian Arnold, Sean Cuthbert from the lovely Floored Media Studios here in wonderful Rockville Centre,
That's
Long
right.
Island, New York, baby. By the way, it's nice. Well, what I was going to say is it's nice that.
Hold on, what was that?
Baby.
Okay, cool.
Yeah. Bing bong. No. What I was going to say is that it's actually nice when that intro would actually make sense now because we are on couches, you know.
Yeah.
You're on a couch. I'm on a couch.
Well,
Mikey,
this is really a
Mikey
seat
will be
or a
eventually
chair.
in a couch.
He will. He will. We do actually have couches here that can accommodate Michael. We're not waiting on the couches again. It was just a cord.
You guys are comfortable. That must be really nice.
Yeah, no, I mean that's
we
really
are. Feels great.
Mike, I'm gonna tell
These
you.
are
I'm gonna
really
tell
nice
you
chairs.
the secret of show business. Producers don't count. It's all about the talent, and we're the talent. So
well, Christian,
we have to be
second.
comfortable.
That would mean I'm a producer, which I don't think Sean would ever give me credit for that.
Sorry, you're right.
We don't even have an official title for
Yeah?
him. It literally right now is Mikey
Minion?
on the couch.
He's
and I don't even have a couch right now,
Yeah.
so
Right.
it's really just all up in the air.
Again,
you got to graduate to the couch. You got to put your time in.
You got to understand it's about the talent, and the talent being comfortable. And Sean and I are the talent, so I don't want to hear your complaints anymore.
That's
Mike.
kind of how it works.
Yeah.
So welcome back to the program, ladies and gentlemen. Hockey Night in New York.
We moved to a new studio, and all of a sudden we become more
more egotistical and arrogant.
Yeah, I mean, I've always been
par for
an
the
egotistic, arrogant piece of,
Please finish that sentence.
Piece of tookus.
Piece of tookus.
Yeah.
Nice job.
Nicely done.
Nice job. Yeah, Andrew with the vulgarity earlier, with the with the bad words. All right, Christian. So let's have some final thoughts on this. You okay?
I hit myself in the face with the microphone again.
Second
show we've done it. Second show we've done this. That I've done that.
Well, I'll watch it back on the replay, on the archive, if you will, on YouTube. That's right.
YouTube.
So
Twitch.
some final thoughts on this make-believe Nazem Kadri situation, because we can't call it official until it's actually real.
Right.
So let me ask you this. I was going to ask Andrew, but we went on a tangent 17 different times. So I had to reserve this question for you.
Oh, I'm sorry.
So where does this put the Islanders if they do land Nazem Kadri? Because he was pretty clearly second on the list here of high target free agents. After the season he had, the playoffs that he had, Johnny Gaudreau was number one. It seems like Kadri was number two.
Right.
Now, as far as the optics here for fans and perhaps league-wide, is this a move that's going to kind of finally dispel that image of the Islanders that we talked about with Chris Botta last time, how when they swung and missed on the last three guys, JT, Gaudreau, whatnot.
Right.
Is this something that's going to say, okay, maybe it looks like the Islanders, are able to land somebody of note here? And also, how much credit do you give Lou Lamoriello because of the past relationship? Because there's a lot of fans saying Lou Lamoriello's not doing the job, he's not getting things done. Is there an argument to be made that if they do get him, that Lou is maybe the biggest reason why they got him?
I'll answer the first part of your question first. I think the optics don't change. I think that for a lot of people, whether it's fair or not, I don't think Nazem Kadri moves the needle of what people envision for the offseason, right? Because I think when
I'm talking about like status and profile, even if Nazem Kadri wasn't the perfect fit.
No, I don't think it.
87-point season.
No. I understand that. Okay. I'm not saying the player. I'm saying the profile of the player, right? Like he's not Johnny Gaudreau, right? He's not this kid that people were looking at and go, oh, this guy's a star. He puts up this, Johnny Gaudreau, Johnny Hockey, the rip-off name of Johnny Football because, someone couldn't. Johnny Football, people started, Johnny Manziel was called Johnny Football. And then Johnny Gaudreau came into the hockey and everyone with creativity came up with Johnny Hockey. So,
okay.
But the point being, he has a name, he has sort of a persona, he has that star quality to him. Nazem Kadri, who has been a phenomenal hockey player for his career, doesn't have the same gravitas. I think as a player, people would be happy with him being on the ice, but as far as this sort of big name star coming to the island, I don't think it carries the same weight. But I think he is a player that comes in and adds something to the Islanders, adds a big piece to the Islanders. Like I said, I think it just becomes a little more complicated and convoluted because you have all the other pieces that need to be rotated around and moved around and traded or whatever the case may be. And so it kind of also takes away from that gravitas, I guess, to repeat the same word. But because when you looked at the Islanders bringing in Johnny Hockey, Johnny Gaudreau, it wasn't the same kind of chaotic situation. It wasn't, all right, we got to rotate someone from center to wing now. And I mean, I think they still probably had to move a piece out of Long Island, Pajot, Pajot.
No doubt.
Bailey,
well,
someone had
two.
to be, but it seems more complicated when you talk about Nazem Kadri. So I think that also becomes part of the conversation as well. It's not, oh wow, this is a guy coming off an 85-point season. He was such a big prolific player for the Avalanche during the postseason. All these things, it kind of gets a little lost there in the conversation with, all right, now we got to move Josh Bailey, Pajot, whoever. Barzal possibly has to be moved to the wing because I think he's the guy that most people would pencil in there to move to the wing from center. And so that becomes more of the narrative than, wow, we got this star stud player.
Okay.
What was the second part of your question after going through all that?
Does Lou Lamoriello get the credit for landing?
Credit.
Yeah. Is he the reason because of his past relationship with him?
I would imagine that it helps, right? We talked before about him being a Lou guy. So when Nazem Kadri, I'm sure, saw the opportunity to go to a new team and Lou Lamoriello called, that's a call he's going to take because he has that relationship. Listen, there's two things people got to understand when we have this conversation. You can kind of look at what Lou Lamoriello has done and maybe question what the success rate is and where the sort of credit lies with the Islanders past couple of years. But at the same time, you have to look at this situation as its own standalone situation. Go, Nazem Kadri probably looks at the Islanders a little bit more favorably just using sort of our what we've been able to piece together because of the connection to Lou Lamoriello, because he has had that experience and he knows what Lou is all about. There's not that sort of mystery. He talks to another team, just throwing out there, he talks to the Rangers, or he talks to the Devils, or another team that he's not as familiar with. It's a little bit of a different story. There's a little bit more of a feeling out process and feeling out period. Okay. Understanding what the situation is and trying to figure out where you fit into the puzzle. With Lou, he kind of knows that already. He kind of knows what he's about and kind of what the organization is about because he's been through it before.
Do you think he might sign with the Columbus Blue Jackets?
Well, I hear it's a wonderful city.
Yeah, that's what they're saying.
Who knows? I mean, it's happened before. It's happened.
Can't rule it out.
No, I don't think he signs with the Columbus Blue Jackets out of nowhere. I think we can rest easy with that one. But maybe
they might have to trade Johnny Gaudreau in order to sign.
Yeah, right. That's right. There. But I mean, right now, all signs point to Long Island for Kadri, and it's just a matter of, all right, we got to move the pieces and get this all lined up.
I agree with you, and with that in mind, 2 rapid-fire questions for you before we wrap this thing up. First one, who gets moved to make the salary cap work for Nazem Kadri, assuming he signs?
I think it's Beauvillier.
You do?
I think it's Beauvillier.
Because he's easier to move with his age.
Easier to move.
Okay.
There's a lot of teams, I think, that are out there and look at him and go, all right, this is a kid that if he gets a little bit of a change of scenery, he can really explode and kind of find that consistency.
Okay. I'm going to say Josh Bailey.
I think, listen, I think Islander fans that don't like Josh Bailey would love to see. And
they exist, yeah.
I don't want to categorize everyone in the same boat but the people that don't like Josh Bailey would be happy to see that. But I think when you look at his contract, I think that's tough to move, and his age, that's tough to move. And as great of a locker room guy as he is, and someone we talked about at length as being someone teams might covet during the postseason, it's still a tough contract to move. And everyone kind of knows, despite the fact that there's this secret bubble that apparently no one knows that Nazem Kadri is going to be an Islander because reasons. That everyone knows where the Islander situation is, and they know that they have to move a player to make this work.
Well, the argument I'll make for Bailey, and I'll keep it short, is that I believe even though his average salary is $5 million against the cap, I believe he's getting paid less in these last 2 years. So they might be able to find a team who's willing to take on the cap space and know that they're only actually doling out $3.5 million to him. So they might be able to make that work. And he is still a productive player.
Yeah.
Even if there's Islander fans out there that don't like him, the guy can still put up 40, 50 points, and he shows up in the playoffs. He has every year since they've basically been entering, at least in recent years. So I think there's a chance, but I think those are the 2 guys that you're looking at. I don't think J.G. Pajot is going anywhere. His name's been brought up. I don't think he's going anywhere. And the last question I have for you is who's moving a wing to make room for Nazem Kadri?
Barzal.
Really?
I think it's Barzal because it just makes the most sense. Brock Nelson is your best center on the team by far, right? He had such a successful season in the center dot, and you look at the way he played, it would be crazy. Why would you move him? He's so successful there. He's basically been your number 1 center for the most part for the better part of last season. So it wouldn't make sense. Barzal is the natural fit. I think he's a guy that has the talent and ability to do that and make that switch and be comfortable and do it with ease. And 2, I think if we're talking about keeping him on the top line, I think he would relish the chance to play with a guy like Nazem Kadri. So I think Barzal just is the natural fit there.
Okay, I think Brock Nelson, but we're just going to have to wait and see. And I'm not saying that to just have a different opinion. I really think he's the guy who goes because he's more of a scorer. But we're going to see. We're going to see if Kadri even signs. He might not. We might be this whole show might be BS. It might be for nothing.
That might be the title of this episode.
We'll find out.
This whole show might be BS.
Mikey, I want 2 names. That's it. Who's getting dealt to make room and who's moving a wing? Mikey on the spot. Mikey on the chair.
Mikey on the spot. Jeez.
And now he's stalling.
Unbelievable.
2
names.
Totally stalling.
Yeah. I didn't say you get to think about it.
I am one of those Islander.
Said two names.
I'm one of those Josh Bailey guys that I don't like him. I've never have. I know that you're in the opposite side of that opinion. So I mean, ideally, I think I'm going to speak for a lot of Islander fans that we'd probably love to see Josh Bailey go. And if Josh, you're watching this, don't look at the part where they show my face. And I think Brock Nelson, I agree with Christian that he is currently the best center on the New York Islanders, but I think I remember years past where he did play a little bit of wing. He has the wing experience. I think Barzal being a puck facilitator the way he is, it makes sense to have him in the middle. I've never agreed that he's a great face-off taker, which would, obviously be conducive to have a different person playing center on his line, but
So you just contradicted yourself.
No, I'm saying I think he's a good puck facilitator. You want him in the middle between two scorers. Unfortunately, they don't usually put two scorers on his wings, but I think Brock Nelson moving to wing would make sense.
So I asked Mike for two names, right? And he goes on to bash two guys and the coaching staff.
Yeah,
I didn't bash.
So we're gonna.
No, he did.
We're gonna.
This is my last time on the mic.
We're not gonna order you.
That's why this is a trial show.
We're not gonna order.
It didn't work out. We'll see it.
Yeah.
Thanks so much.
We're not gonna order you the longer headphones so you can sit on the couch. And next show, we're actually taking away the chair. You have to stand or sit on the floor. If you ever talk about Josh Bailey like that again,
I think that's fair.
All right.
Ever again, I don't want to hear that blasphemy out of your mouth, Mike.
All right, folks. All right. Well, this has been something. This has been a show. Want to thank everybody for tuning in to twitch.tv/HockeyNightNY. Which camera should I be looking at, guys? Let me know which one. I'm still getting used to this.
This one.
We're having fun. Okay,
no,
right
we're being
over
told
here.
whatever
we're
one you
looking
want.
at this one.
You're looking at that one.
So thanks for tuning in to twitch.tv/HockeyNightNY, and of course, your favorite podcast providers. Eddie, hit that music, brother. There it is. Want to send a big thanks to Andrew
That's
Gross.
loud, though.
It's fine. It's fine. You and your delicate ears.
No, I mean, it's drowning you out.
Is it?
Yeah.
All right, lower the music.
Slow it down a little bit.
Big thanks to Andrew Gross of Newsday for joining us.
Did you change the music?
I did, buddy. Buddy, it's a brand new show.
Like this.
It's a whole new world.
Like
Small thanks to Mikey O'Brien for joining us on the couch. And a huge thanks to Jay here at Florida Media. A huge thanks to Ed for helping us out. And, of course, Griffo for being the man behind the camera, the extra camera over there. So, for Christian Arnold, my name is Sean Cuthbert. I was about to sign off, but I still got to tell you to follow Christian at @C_Arnold01 on Twitter. Follow myself at Shawnee Hockey. Follow the show at Hockey Night NY on Twitter, Facebook, and Instagram. We've been Hockey Night in New York. We'll be back soon. We'll see you next time.